clothing?
Yeah, the fact that they look alike, I didn't catch that from my initial reading, so that's a good insight for whoever brought that. Does anyone want to go off that? Any other different ways in which you think that Taylor and Hannah were alike, whether it's personality or looks?
Are there any significant ways where you thought that they might be different? Like big ideas?
These are good ideas.
I believe you.
How are they different?
Yeah, like do you have any ideas?
At least until the very end, Taylor did not know anything about her past or her family, and Hannah actually knew her family.
Yeah.
I think Hannah's pretty patient, and she withholds information that she knows is valuable to withhold, and it's like, even though she's probably dying to tell Taylor certain things and explain things, she doesn't because she's like kind of responsible with the information, whereas Taylor's a little bit more reckless, where she's just like, tell me what's going on, and with every situation, she's always just like wanting to know right away, you know, not caring of the consequences, even though every time she has like a fit, and so I think that's how they're kind of different in a way.
That's a really good point.
Group 3, what did you guys discuss?
Question?
Yeah.
We kind of started out by talking about how it was pretty symbolic how Fizz didn't even become part of the picture until he was belonging to a certain group. So that was really interesting.
We also kind of likened Taylor to him in that she found her sense of belonging in her like group of friends, and she found obviously her belonging with other people, and so did Fitz when he like came along and met Narnie and Tate and all of them. So they both found their belonging. I'm just talking in circles, sorry. Other people, they found their belonging in other people.
How did maybe Taylor's sense of belonging like evolve throughout the story? Because she was always surrounded by people. She was in this boarding school surrounded by these girls, but she didn't feel like she belonged at first. So can someone kind of break down for me how that evolved, how that changed for Taylor throughout the story?
I think the first major step is when she was elected, because then she felt like she had something she really needed to do and like stand up for and come through with, because she felt the pressure of, oh, I have to succeed in this leadership role. And that's kind of when she started meeting people like Griggs again, and like, well, she was already friends with Rappy and stuff, but it kind of forced her out of her shell to an extent.
Yeah.
I think as she progressively found out more about where she came from and like about her past and like reading the manuscripts and stuff, she started belonging more, because at the beginning she had no idea about like anything, like where her dad was, her mom, whatever. And so as she found that stuff out, you kind of saw her like building relationships with people and like kind of stepping more into her own skin.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think that kind of is right on target, I think, for sure. Does anyone else have anything to share?
I actually want to touch on that. I agree with what you were saying, how they were both really similar and how they came to being a sense of belonging. And I feel like as people, we kind of do that. Like we find ourselves feeling that way when we are with our close friends, or we find those close friends. So I feel like that's just a trait that as people we have. And but also, in order to feel that way, you have to want to belong, and you can't just like, okay, I'm home now. You have to want to find those people, and you want to feel that way. So that's interesting.
Yeah, can I say something too? I think it's like not forced either, and I think that's proven in the fact that all the leaders kind of get together and become really good friends, and then it just diffuses the entire situation. I didn't really understand why they were territorial in the beginning. It's kind of weird, and it seems like really pointless, like a waste of time, you know?
Well, I think that's just it, right? Wasn't that the point?
Yeah, and it kind of got out of the hand or something, but the fact that they all become friends, you know, like when they're on holiday and no one's around to see that they're hanging out, they hang out, and then back into their, oh, we're mad at each other thing, but I think that you don't expect to be with, like, friends with people that you end up being friends with, you know, the ones that just kind of naturally happen, I guess. It's kind of,
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because it did start out of a group of friends, right? But then when it first started explaining the wars, it was really violent, you know, like they
Yeah.
were intense, these were enemies, these weren't just like neighbors, right? And then, like you said, how they came back and all became friends at the end is, it's an interesting way to bring it full circle.
Right.
That's really
All right, so question
No.
4,
good.
or did someone want
Well,
to?
nobody had discussed 4, 5, or 6, but we do have a little bit of time. Would you guys like to keep discussing? I got a couple head nods over there. Okay, so we'll move on to question 4. Why do you think Hannah follows Tate's wishes and keeps her distance from Taylor?
Gotta be some strong opinions on this one.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Well, I think it's just because, like, obviously Hannah and Tate, like, they're really good friends, like, Hannah doesn't want to, like, overstep her boundaries, like, with, Taylor, so I think when Tate says, like, she already has a mom, like, literally, it's like Tate's doing, like, she didn't abandon Taylor with the intentions of being, like, I didn't want a daughter, like, I couldn't do this, it was with the intentions that, like, her life was just, like, really bad, and she didn't want Taylor to grow up like that, so it was, like, she has a mom, but I can't be her mom right now, so you just take care of her, and then when I'm ready, like, I want to come back into her life, and things like that, so I think Hannah kind of understood that, and was like, okay, then I will respect your wishes and protect Taylor, but I won't become like her mother figure, because that's not my place at all.
How do you think Hannah felt when she was asked to do that? Because then she chose not to comfort her like a mother would. Do you think she went too far to the extreme of not being a mother? Do you think she was right in how she decided not to be Taylor's mother? Like, how do you think she felt?
I don't know if it was I don't know if it was right or wrong, but I think it definitely was super hard because you have that connection. Like, she knew that she's like Hannah's aunt, and she couldn't do bad things for her. So, I mean, she was his aunt. But I don't know. I think it'd be really hard. I don't know if it was right or the wrong way to do it, but it's a tricky situation.
Yeah.
I'm like on the fence on this a little bit because I understand why she didn't, because she was keeping her sister's wishes, but it honestly kind of makes me mad. Like, because I feel like it would have almost been a better outcome for Taylor if that wouldn't have happened. And if Hannah, like, she probably, in my eyes, she would have, I mean, sure, she wouldn't have gone on some adventure to, like, find her mom, but in my eyes, she would have been a happier person, and kind of, like, if she knew it all, she would have understood, and she would have, like, been content with, like, living with Hannah, and she probably would have been more open to stuff, and, I don't know, she probably wouldn't have had those long, hard nights, like, where she sat there and let the cat, like, scratch her arms up because she wanted to feel something. It's kind of like, I feel like she would have, like, not had as much pain in her life if Hannah was able to act like her mom.
I partially agree with Harley, but I also think, I don't want to say it was like the right thing to do to distance, or for Hannah to distance herself from Taylor in that way, but I think it was ultimately like super end goal good for Taylor because it made her like an individual and strong and stubborn in who she is as a good person, and it made her want to go find her mom, which ultimately saved Griggs' life when he was going to throw himself from the train. And then, like, she got to meet all these people because she was elected the leader of the underground Jellicoe Road thing. I don't think it was necessarily super good for Taylor to be, like, hurt and feel abandoned all the time, but I think it also helped her become who she is.
That's really. Did you want to say something like quickly?
I just want to say, because, like, I don't think Hannah was necessarily, like, the worst at Taylor either, because Taylor still felt like she, like, in the beginning of the book, she was like, I know Hannah likes, like, she was like, I know that Hannah still loves me, even though she's nicer to all these girls. She, like, felt the sense that, like, Hannah was, like,